Okay, so if you're in the medical device field, you probably know that getting products to market in the EU, well, it can feel like navigating a maze, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's complete.
Especially for Class IIa devices, it seems particularly tricky sometimes.
It can, yeah.
Well, today, in this deep dive, we're aiming to untangle that whole process for you, make it clearer.
That's the plan. Our mission really is to break down those essential steps for getting the CE Class IIe certification.
Right.
We want to help you understand what's actually required, point out some of the, common traps so you can avoid them,
hmm
and just generally build your confidence in handling these EU regulations.
And we're pulling all of this from some really solid guides on CE Class IIa certification, sources that lay it out step by step.
Exactly. Clear roadmaps.
So let's jump right in. What's the first thing people really need to grasp here?
I think fundamentally, before you even start the checklist, you have to get what CE Class IIe certification is. And, maybe more importantly, why it matters so much.
Okay, let's define it then. Class 3. These are generally seen as what? Medium risk devices.
That's the category, yes. Medium risk. Think about things like surgical gloves or quite a few dental materials. Certain infusion pumps might fall in here too.
Stuff you see used all the time.
Right. And typically they're for shorter term use, maybe up to 30 days continuously, something like that. Not permanent implants.
Got it. And the CE certification itself, why is that the big deal?
Well, it's basically your passport to sell in Europe, in the EEA, the European Economic Area. It's non-negotiable.
So no CE mark, no market access. Simple as that.
Pretty much. It's the proof that your device meets the EU's safety standards, the performance standards. It's crucial.
And it's not just about the legal side, is it? There's a trust element, too.
A huge trust element. It tells healthcare providers and ultimately patients that this device is compliant, that it's met these really high standards. It builds that necessary confidence.
Okay, so that trust, that market access, absolutely vital. The big question then becomes, how do you actually get there efficiently? How do you avoid the common headaches?
Right. And that's where our checklist comes in. We've boiled it down to 10 key steps. Following these should really help streamline things.
10 steps. Okay, where does this journey begin? Step 1.
Step 1 starts right at the beginning. You absolutely have to determine your device classification correctly.
Classification first. Why is that so critical up front?
Because getting it wrong, it can completely derail everything. Your R&D focus, your budget. You might end up having to do costly redesigns, face huge delays.
A potential financial black hole you mentioned earlier.
It really can be. So devices are classed based on their intended use, the inherent risks. It's all laid out in the MDR, Annex 8 specifically.
And if you're unsure, if it's borderline.
Don't guess. Check the official EU MDR guidelines. Or, honestly, the best bet is often to consult with regulatory experts who live and breathe this stuff. Makes sense. Get that foundation solid first. Okay, so you've correctly classified your device. What's next? Step 2.
Step 2 is implementing a quality management system, a QMS.
Ah, the QMS. Everyone talks about the QMS.
And for good reason. Think of it like the central nervous system for your whole operation. It needs to comply with ISO 13485.
Which can seem like just, ticking a box for compliance.
It can feel that way, but honestly, companies that really embrace a strong QMS find it gives them an edge. It helps them iterate faster, respond quicker. It turns compliance into like a strategic advantage.
Interesting way to put it. So what needs to be in this QMS?
It has to cover the whole life cycle. Design, manufacturing, all your post-market stuff. You need solid document control, risk management processes, internal audits, managing your suppliers.
It works.
Pretty much. And crucially, it's not static. It needs constant updates. And it has to be ready for a notified body audit at, well, potentially any time. Always audit ready. Okay, that central nervous system idea is sticking with me. It logically leads to step 3, doesn't it? Preparing the technical documentation.
Exactly. This isn't just paperwork. It's the detailed story proving your device meets the requirements. Specifically, MDR annexes the 2nd and 3.
And you said earlier this is where people often trip up. What's the key mistake you see?
Yeah, it's a common stumbling block. I'd say the biggest oversight is the cohesion of it all. It's not just having the individual pieces, the device description, design info, risk files, the clinical evaluation report, or CER.
That's the CER.
And the labeling, the instructions for use, the IFU, it's making sure they all connect. They tell one consistent story, the cross-references are right, and together they clearly show how you meet every single MDR requirement.
So it's the narrative, the complete picture.
Precisely. It needs to be thorough, accurate, and ready for that notified body review. No gaps.
Got it. Consistency is key. Which leads us neatly into step 4, the clinical evaluation. This is where you prove safety and performance, right?
Exactly. This is essential. You're verifying it works and it's safe.
How do you do that? Is it always clinical trials?
Not always.
Yeah.
It often involves deep literature reviews. Sometimes, yes, specific clinical trials might be needed, and you absolutely need plans for post-market clinical follow-up PMCF.
Okay. And there are specific guidelines for this part?
Oh, yes. You need to align with MD-DAV 2.71 Revision 4. That's kind of the Bible for conducting and reporting clinical evaluations. And also look at MDCG 2026, which focuses on ensuring your clinical evidence is sufficient.
Sufficient evidence. Sounds like the bar is high.
It is. The data needs to be robust, credible. You're building the case for your device.
Okay, so we've got classification, QMS, technical docs, clinical evidence. That's a lot of the what. What about the who? Step 5.
Step 5 brings in a key person. Under MDR Article 15, you must appoint a person responsible for regulatory compliance, the PRRC.
The PRRC, I've heard that acronym a lot. What's their exact role?
It's critical. They're responsible for ensuring the devices meet the requirements, that all that technical documentation we just talked about is kept up to date, and that post-market surveillance actually happens effectively.
So they're the internal compliance watchdog.
Kind of, yeah. A very important one. And they need the right background law, medicine, something related, plus actual experience in regulatory affairs. It's a serious role.
Definitely sounds like it. Okay, so you have your internal expert, the PRRC. What's step 6?
Step 6 is choosing and then engaging with a notified body.
Right, the third-party auditors.
Exactly. For Class 2, you need them. They're the ones who review your technical documentation, they audit your QMS, and if everything checks out, they issue the CE certificate.
How do you choose one? Are they all the same?
Definitely not.
Mm.
Critically, not all notified bodies are designated or accredited for all types of devices.
Oh, okay.
So you absolutely have to check their scope using the NANDO database. That's the EU's official list. Make sure they're actually authorized for your specific device category. Picking the wrong one wastes a lot of time.
Good tip. Check Nando. Okay, notified body engaged. Step 7.
Step 7 is drafting the EU Declaration of Conformity, the DOC.
This sounds official.
It is. It's your formal legal statement saying your device complies with all the relevant EU regulations.
What needs to be in it?
Key things: manufacturer details, clear device description, the conformity assessment route you followed, which MDR articles or annexes apply, and importantly, the notified body's details, since one was involved.
Is there a standard format?
Yes, thankfully. The European Commission provides templates. Using those is definitely the way to go to make sure you include everything correctly.
Helpful. Okay, DOC drafted. Step 8.
Step 8 is registration in UDEMED.
UDEMED, the big database.
That's the one, the European database for medical devices. It's all about transparency and traceability.
And registration is mandatory.
Yes, all manufacturers have to register their devices there. That's how you get your single registration number, your SRN.
SRN, okay.
And keeping that UDEMED information accurate and current is vital. It feeds into post-market surveillance and allows authorities to track devices. Think of it as your device's digital passport within the EU.
Digital passport. I like that analogy. Okay, almost there. Step 9 must be the rewarding part.
Step 9 is indeed the moment many people look forward to, affixing the CE marking.
Finally. But you can only do this after you get the certificate from the notified body, right?
Absolutely critical. Only after you have the official certificate in hand.
Are there rules about the mark itself, like where it goes or how it looks?
Yes, there are specifics. It needs to be visible, legible, and indelible, meaning it can't be easily removed, usually on the device itself or on the packaging.
Any common slip-ups here? Any gotchas?
The main one is putting the mark on too soon, before all approvals are final. And the other key detail, remember the notified body. Their 4-digit ID number must appear right next to the CE mark. Forgetting that is a compliance issue.
Right, don't forget the notified body number. Okay, CE mark is on, we're done.
Not quite. That brings us to the final and arguably ongoing step. Step 10, maintain post-market surveillance and vigilance.
Ah, right. It doesn't stop at the sale.
Absolutely not. Certification isn't a one-off. You need a robust system for post-market surveillance, PMS. It's mandatory.
What does that involve, practically speaking?
It means actively collecting and analyzing user feedback, reporting any serious incidents to the authorities promptly, Keeping your technical documentation updated as needed, maybe based on feedback or design changes, and carrying out that post-market clinical follow-up, the PMCF that we planned earlier.
So it's a continuous loop of monitoring and improvement.
Exactly. The goal is ensuring that the device stays compliant and safe throughout its entire time on the market. It's about proactive management.
Okay, that's a comprehensive checklist. But knowing the steps is one thing, avoiding the potholes is another. You mentioned pitfalls earlier.
Yes, definitely worth highlighting those.
What's the #1 issue you see derailing people?
I'd still say inadequate documentation. We keep coming back to it because it's so common. Incomplete files, outdated information, inconsistencies. These are major causes of delay. An auditor finds one gap and everything can grind to a halt while you fix it.
Right. And another one you mentioned?
Delaying engaging with a notified body. Contact them early. Understand their timelines, their expectations. It smooths the path considerably.
Don't wait until the last minute. Makes sense.
And, related to Step 10, neglecting those post-market obligations, PMS isn't optional. Overlooking it can seriously jeopardize the CE certification you worked so hard to get. You could actually lose it.
Lose the certification. That's a stark warning.
It happens. Compliance is ongoing.
And the final pitfall, something about expertise.
Yeah. Lack of sufficient internal expertise. Let's face it, EU regulations are complex, they change. If your team doesn't have deep regulatory knowledge, seriously consider bringing in external consultants or experts.
An investment that probably pays off.
Often saves significant time and money in the long run, absolutely.
Okay, navigating this does sound challenging. Are there tools or resources that can help lighten the load?
Definitely. There's some great software out there. For managing compliance, specifically for med devices, Greenlight Guru is very popular.
Okay.
Master Control is excellent for document control, managing audits, that sort of thing.
Right.
And if you're a smaller or medium-sized company, MedDev QMS offers software built around ISO 13485. That can be really helpful.
Good options. And key resources like websites or documents.
Absolutely. You need to have the European Commission's MDR guidelines bookmarked. That's your primary source.
The regulatory Bible, you called it?
Pretty much. Also, the UDM portal is essential for registration and just understanding the landscape.
Yeah.
And as we said, the NANDO list for finding and verifying notified bodies.
Nando. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap this whole CE Class IIa certification. It looks complex, maybe even intimidating at first.
You can seem that way, yeah.
But it sounds like with proper planning, really understanding these 10 steps and using the right resources, it's definitely manageable.
It is manageable. It requires diligence, attention to detail, and that ongoing commitment, especially post-market. But it's achievable. It's about building that robust framework.
A framework for compliance, but also maybe for something more. You know, we've talked a lot about getting the CE mark, that initial hurdle. But that final step, the post-market surveillance, the vigilance, it makes you think. How does really embracing that continuous monitoring, that engagement with evolving rules, how does that shift things? Does it change compliance from just, a barrier you have to clear into something more strategic, maybe even an advantage for staying innovative and successful in the long run?
That's a really interesting point to consider, isn't it? Moving beyond ticking boxes to actually leveraging compliance for ongoing success.